Bambile ngqo. Thank you very much, General Ngcobo. Chairperson of the South African National Defence Force Spousal Forum, Mashoke. Chief of the South African National Defence Force, General Soli Shoke. Service and Divisions Chiefs. Members of the South African National Defence Force Spousal Forum. Senior officers, sponsors of the South African National Defence Force Goodwill Parcel Project led by Dr. Ranpele and spouse. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to start by apologizing to you for the decision we took with the chief yesterday that we should bring this forward. A number of people would have prepared themselves for 9 o'clock, but we requested that we should rather start at 8 because we are proceeding to a memorial service which starts at 10 o'clock. So if we inconvenienced you in any way, our sincere apologies. It wasn't out of disrespect. As we have this South African National Defence Force Goodwill Parcel Project annual breakfast, I wish to take this opportunity to remind that we do so as we observe October month, Oliver Tambo month. What would he have said as we gather here to celebrate the achievements of the South African National Defence Force Goodwill Parcel Project? OR would have reiterated his call during the occasion of the Year of the Women, to re-emphasize that, and I quote, "The struggle for women's emancipation is not just the responsibility of women, but both women and men," close quote. This was on the occasion of the observation of the 1984 as the Year of the Women, recognizing and paying tribute to the role that women have played in the liberation of our movement. This call was to spur them on to play their rightful place in the forefront of the struggle for the destruction of the monstrous system of apartheid and the creation of a peaceful, democratic, non-racial and non-sexist South Africa. As we gather here today for the South African National Defence Force Goodwill Parcel Project, we should be proud that these goals have been partially met, but more still needs to be done for the full emancipation of women and for us to take head-on the scourge of gender-based violence which we are now facing. As spouses within the defence family, we know only too well the challenges faced by your partners. In this regard, I call upon you to continue the support that you give them as they go about doing their work. You are the integral part of the successes and challenges they face. They may be the heads of one entity or another within the defence family, but you are the neck on which the head is supported. Without them, they cannot function. Without whom they cannot function. You keep the home fires burning at all material times, especially when they are away on long assignments and deployments. This means that more often than not, and throughout your partner's military careers, even as a professional in your own right, it is your career that tends to take a back seat as you juggle the roles of being a caregiver and ensuring the family functions seamlessly and optimally. The situation is not helped by the highly unpredictable nature of military life, continued relocation due to assigned responsibilities and job requirements, This has a direct impact on the spouses and implications for careers within close or real proximity to the serving spouse. However, this is not always possible, thus ending with yourselves, the other spouse, as a full-time caregiver. We therefore need to honor and recognize the important role you play, even as you do not wear your partner's medals, but often you are the ones who put them on and ensure that they walk out of the house to work looking good. It is often you that has made this possible. In 2 weeks' time, I will be leading a delegation of our Women in Defense to the United Nations Security Council debate on women security, peace and security agenda. The main focus of this session will be the women's participation in peace enforcement, peacekeeping, as a cornerstone of inclusive, sustainable, and transformative peace and security. And I'm very proud that Government of the Republic of South Africa took a decision that as we are members, non-permanent members of the UN Security Council, that this month of October will be dedicated to women, peace, and security. No other country has done that. So it will be a proud moment for South Africa to showcase what South African women in defense have achieved. So we'll be taking a delegation of no less than 10 women in uniform who will present and talk to the world about that which they have achieved as women in the South African National Defence Force, the role they have played in peacekeeping, and I must say that it's a moment which South Africa should be proud of. No other country has done that. I'm raising this because for some of the women who have been in these peacekeeping contingents that we have deployed in, be it Burundi over a decade ago, Darfur, Eritrea as observers, or in the Democratic Republic of Congo as part of MONUSCO, they too have spouses. Faced with some of the responsibility you are faced with that I have outlined earlier. They too have spouses that they leave behind as they go on deployments in various missions and theaters of war. A further point to make is that all military spouses are faced with unpredictability, which often makes them less attractive to employers, but wives who generally account for more than 90% of military spouses are also subject to the issues that all women contend with in the workplace, especially in the gender pay gap to the motherhood penalty. I say so because this ends up placing the responsibility of childcare literally on the lap of the spouses. Working, said some spouses, is a challenge when an active duty spouse can be deployed for months on end. You end up being a single parent, one military spouse said. But you are a sole provider for your children, and your spouse has no predictability. They can't control anything about when they are there or not. Sometimes you are in the middle of breakfast and they leave, like we are going to do now, Mashok. You are in the middle of a breakfast you've organized, which the chief has supported, and in the middle of that breakfast, he'll be whisked out. And you don't know when they are coming back. These scenarios painted are very familiar to yourselves, having been an integral part of the military or defense family. You may not be in uniform or hold the ranks and titles that your spouses hold, but you are directly and indirectly impacted by it, whether you like it or not. To the spouses on active duty, I strongly urge that you must be thankful for the support you continue to receive from your spouses. Do not take it for granted, because taking it for granted leads to many a family breakup. Appreciate the resilience they have had in supporting you throughout your career as you rose through the ranks. Military spouses receive little acknowledgement and recognition. They are often treated as hangers-on to their partners. Mashoke and the rest of the Spousal Forum, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for the work you have done over the years and the support you have given. For today's purposes, you have, as in the past years, shown leadership in support of this initiative, working together with the sponsors. To the sponsors, the efforts and contribution you have consistently made is recognized and appreciated. Without you, we may not have come as far as we did on this project. You've made the lives of our deployed soldiers and their families bearable. And as we are nearing the end of the year, what has been raised thus far, which is exceeding the previous years, will go a long way. But as I take my seat, I think it is appropriate that I know that among some of the generals who are seated here today, there may be those who will not be part of this event in the coming years, who may be participating here for the last time. If there's anything you look forward to when you retire, it is to be with your family, to be with your spouse, to serve the person who's given you the support all these years. And I do want to say, cherish them for the support they have given you. We take one another for granted sometimes. And the one thing we tend to forget as we move on in our daily lives is that there is a day which will come, and the only people you'll need around you, it is your family. Whether you are on retirement or you lose your job, I always say as a politician, our lives are very unpredictable. I can be fired tomorrow for one reason or the other, or reshuffled. And I always say, the only thing I have when that happens is my family. So the support which we get from one another, which we receive from our spouses, should never be taken for granted. It is unwavering support which they give you. Although, I sometimes say, I think sometimes, really, even though the support is unwavering, it should not be support at all costs. And I find that sometimes with those of us who are active and who are very busy, we tend to think that your spouse must support you at all costs. So, generals, to those who will not join us here, somebody made an error and said TT Ombuds. TT has retired. TT is retired. We have a new military ombuds. I'm sorry, Chief, to take it out of the bag. We have a new military ombuds, and that is General Masondo. And General Masondo will be our ombuds starting from the 1st of November. Congratulations. You deserve it after all. You've earned it, you've worked for it, you've earned it. No one has given it to you. Your integrity and your performance has earned what you are getting today. So, colleagues, support. One of the things I appreciated as I was taking my seat was to see that you have Tate Ngakula's name tag. I really appreciated that. I don't take it lightly, because you know that I always have a spouse around No, there's nothing which is as embarrassing as walking into an event and you sit and your spouse's tag is not there, there's no seat for him. These are some of the things sometimes we can cause a bit of tension amongst ourselves as family. You're both not responsible for it. But when you get home, then it's, yeah, I see that. Yeah, people didn't expect me to be there. Yeah, you see? So I don't take that for granted. It's very, it warmed my heart when I saw that. But I equally know that it's breakfast, it's in the morning, he has his own responsibilities to perform, so he couldn't be here with us. So colleagues, to those of you who will not be with us at the next Goodwill, I want to say that you've warmed my heart in many, many ways. I've enjoyed your support, unconditional support. And it's something which I will always treasure, something which I will always remember, that I have worked with a corps of generals who gave me unconditional support. I don't take your support for granted at all. But I know that you'll be retired. And sometimes painful memories come to play. And I'm saying this because I know that, as I said earlier on, all of us as we retire, we look forward to being with our families, to being with our spouses in particular. But you know, General Yengeni, I know this is a very painful moment for you, because you will be retiring, and the person you were looking forward to retiring with will not be there to welcome you home. But I do want to say to you, life moves on, and time is the greatest healer. It is well. It is God's plan, and it is well. It is not the end of life. There are so many things which are out there waiting for you to do. That's all I want to say. Generals, thank you very much for this morning. We're not being rude if we sneak out. We sneak out only because we have to go and represent you elsewhere. It comes with a job. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.